Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/EntitledPeople. Today we have one more set of great stories for you to enjoy. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Renege on our deal? Fail to return our damage deposit? Karma's a B. We found an amazing luxury penthouse to rent as a treat to ourselves. We knew it wasn't forever as it was so expensive, but the job my husband had at the time was lucrative. The leasing agent screened and approved us. We wanted a 2-year rather than an 18-month lease, and the owners agreed. Then we get an urgent call from the owners that this longer lease meant that we would have to pay another $1,750 to the leasing agent. Could we reduce the lease on paper as a favor, but they would honor the 2-year agreement? We agreed and faked the 18-month lease to be good to them. 2 weeks into our lease, notices from the strata are put up stating the construction noise will be starting soon. A huge communication tower was being installed on top of our building. You can imagine what's next. A month of concrete drilling directly over our heads. With our insane schedules in the film industry, we often worked 18-hour shifts into the wee hours and slept a few hours during the day. We lived through this bullcrap for 10 months. It was hell. We asked for some kind of respite, but to no avail. Nothing could be done. I was well aware of the rules and that we had the right to quiet enjoyment of our unit. The landlords could have offered us time away in a hotel or rebated some of the rent, but no. We took video and photos of the notices and decided to keep it just in case. The amenities in the building included a hot tub, which we often used. Apparently, the strata decided that they wouldn't try to fix the problems when the health board shut down the hot tub due to contamination. We also knew that when a unit is advertised and rented with amenities, if an amenity isn't provided, you're able to get back the value of that amenity from your rent. So we kept track of the hot tub not being in working order for 8 months. The landlords were actually not really that bad. They were fine to deal with and actually fixed things in a very timely fashion and did it properly. I didn't have any animosity toward them except for their lack of help with the noise issue. Then, 18 months after our lease started, we received a notice with a rental increase. I was flabbergasted. They'd agreed to 24 months, and here they were trying to up our rent 18 months later, after we saved them $1,750. That's what you get for being nice. So we reminded them of the 24-month agreement, so they ever so graciously suggested that instead of an immediate increase, they'd give us 3 months of no increase. WTF, reneging on our deal. What a couple of a-holes. About a week later, guess what starts happening? More drilling right over our heads. Again, more construction. It was just going to last a couple of weeks, but with them reneging on our deal, we were PO'd and said F this crap and gave them 30-day notice. The Residential Tenancy Board in our province states that if they don't return the damage deposit within 15 days, they may owe double the deposit back. 2 weeks go by and no deposit returned. They told us they were waiting for the amount owed on the gas bill for the fireplace before returning the deposit. 2 months goes by. WTF, you're holding our $1,750 deposit for a tiny amount? F those jerks. The decision was made, time to show them. Now we have more than enough to go after them using our laws and our rights. We filed a claim against them for loss of quiet enjoyment, loss of use of the hot tub, and for double our damage deposit. I had no intention of pulling out these cards, but F with me and I'll use every bit of ammo I have against you. We had a telephone hearing and ended up winning our case. So the early increase in rent could have gotten them an extra $450 plus the fireplace gas that would have gotten them maybe $50. Ended up the strata stopped charging for gas. We were awarded $6,243 on top of the $1,750 deposit. Even funnier is we noticed the place advertised for rent for 2 months, so they lost that rent, plus they ended up renting it at a lower price than what we originally paid, so they never got their increase at all. Their greed at raising our rent early cost them a grand total of $13,243. Ha ha. And our second story. Forced me to take 2 weeks of unpaid time off? Have fun running the place without me. I used to work at this one coffee shop, my first chain coffee shop after working only at local or family-run ones. Simply put, it was hell. Owners would micromanage everything without knowing anything about how the business ran, never listened to their staff, and only cared about the money. Typical out-of-touch owners of a business. I was hired to replace a manager that had walked out of one of their locations, leaving it with only part-time staff. I was told I was being hired as the acting manager until they either hired someone else or felt that I would be a good fit for the position after my 6-month probation. I won't go into everything that went wrong because there's a lot to summarize, but it was literal hell. I was expected to cover all the no-shows, which had me working 90 to 100 hours a week. I wasn't allowed to fire anyone no matter how many things they did wrong. Someone actually showed up to work drunk and I still wasn't allowed to fire them. And any changes I wanted to implement were shot down, like replacing old parts in the espresso machine, shortening our hours to save money on labor, or bringing in items that customers would always ask for. I was stressed, overworked, and irritated as hell when the owner comes in to talk to me about sales for the store. We weren't making enough to warrant the hours I had scheduled, and he wasn't going to pay me any more overtime. I would only work the hours I'm scheduled, and if someone no-showed, I had to have someone else cover those shifts. I tried to explain to him that I only came in when no one else would cover. It just so happens that the people he allowed to continue to work there had terrible availability. Making the schedule was already hard enough. Getting someone other than myself to come in on their day off was next to impossible. On top of that, I had to learn the ropes myself. There was no one to train me, so all the managerial knowledge, ordering, scheduling, I learned myself. No one other than me knew how to order coffee, had the numbers for the repair guys. Anything other than making coffee and using the till, I was the only one that knew. He wasn't hearing any of it. All I'm hearing is excuses. This is your store. If you can't handle running it, I'll start looking for someone who will. Wasn't that the plan, though? It's been 3 months since my probation period ended, and you never gave me the manager position, so I assumed you were looking for someone to take over. I think it's in your best interest to take some time off. Start thinking about your position here and whether you actually want to start moving up. I'd mentioned in the interview I was looking forward to working my way up in the business. I can't. There's no one to cover me. You're taking this time off. Is this a paid break? No! Consider this a timeout for you to get yourself sorted out. Take the 2 weeks to rest and we'll see what your position will be like when you get back. I can't really afford to take that amount of time off. I can't even take 2 days without having to come in and cover. Don't worry about the business right now. It'll run without you. Now, to put this in perspective, I was basically the manager at this point. I made the schedules, I did the orders, I knew the codes to the safe and the alarm. I wasn't allowed to hire someone to assist me, and no one worked enough time to be able to cover even half of my shifts. I knew this. The staff knew this. Customers knew this. I made sure to block all work numbers and spent those 2 weeks looking for another job. I managed to find one after a few days that paid significantly more. I sent my resignation email to payroll and the owner, knowing he never checks it, deleted my account off the POS system. Being a manager means I have access to it from home, and spent the rest of the leave catching up on well-deserved sleep, having blocked all work numbers. I'm not getting paid, so I'm not working. According to my coworkers, crap started going wrong the next day. One of the openers didn't show, and the next staff member didn't have keys. Owner wasn't answering his phone, so they left a message. Owner didn't show up until one of the regulars called asking if the place was closed down. He showed up 4 hours after they were supposed to open. Orders weren't done, inventory was missed, 4 no-shows. You name it, it went wrong. Owner tried every way he could to get a hold of me, even using a customer's phone to call me. Too bad I didn't answer any calls that weren't in my contacts already. After 2 weeks, I turned my phone back on and get a call the same day from the owner. We agreed to meet the next day. So, you had some time to think? I have. It's really giving me perspective on my position here. Well, we can start you back on your normal hours for now, and we're looking for a manager to take on more of your responsibilities. Oh, that's good. I'm actually quitting. He was silent for a few minutes. I think he was waiting for me to tell him I was kidding. Sucks for you, buddy. I'm serious. I've already emailed payroll and removed my log from the computer. Here are my keys. Good luck. And I left. The owner tried calling me a few times, but stopped once I told him to check his email. I was on okay terms with some of the staff that worked there, and apparently the majority of them had quit after I'd left. Owner did find a replacement pretty quickly, but without anybody to train them. The owner didn't know anything about running the business. They were effed from the get-go and left pretty soon after they were hired. My petty bud is always checking reviews from customers and employees, and they've consistently sucked for the past year and seem to be on a downward trend over the past year. And our last story. You can go home early. Way back when, I used to work as a bank teller. One day, a man in a suit comes in and comes to my lane. I'd never seen this guy before, but he looks like $1,000,000. Nice suit, perfect hair, the works. No sooner does this gentleman walk up to me, my manager asks to borrow me for a second and pulls me off to the side. She told me that this particular guy was the richest person around and had hundreds of millions in the bank with us. She told me, if it isn't against the law, I want you to do whatever he tells you to. If he asks you to jump, you don't even ask how high. You just jump like your life depends on it. Now keep in mind that this was all maybe 3 feet away from Mr. Moneybags. He obviously heard the whole thing. So my manager walks off to the corner to stare daggers at me, and I get to work. After doing everything, all normal transaction stuff, he looks at my manager, then me. He then says loud enough for all to hear, "Oh, and you can take the rest of the day off. That won't be a problem, will it?" The look on my manager's face was priceless. She couldn't say no to him because he's the center of the universe in that area, and she and the bank know it. So I get my stuff and walk out with him. Before I left, he told me to let him know the next time he comes in if I got in trouble. When I asked him why he did that, he said it's because he hates how everyone bends over backwards to treat him like a king, just because he has money. And my manager was one of the worst offenders. So I got a free half day. My manager wasn't too happy with me for not coming back after he left, but I never did get formally reprimanded. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.